This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
What is up? Hello and welcome everyone to another edition of the Info Arcade. You might have noticed I'm not Info Arcade, Jaden, the guy you see in the bottom left corner there. I am Freddie Airmail filling in for Info Arcade today, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Frosty in the center here. Say hi, Frosty. And we've got AJ Kingka on the left.
What's up, guys?
So I'm filling in for Jaden today, but we're still going to be bringing you all these sports and entertainment news that you need, just like we always do. First, I want to touch on one of the comments that we got in the chat here. We got Brooks Byrne asking, what's up with the season this year? The answer is we don't totally know. We don't totally know what's going to be happening with fan-controlled football, but we do know that announcements, we've heard they're coming. We've been hearing soon a lot lately. But if you want to keep up on all the announcements that we are expecting, you should be following Fan Controlled Sports on all their socials. You can follow them on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're watching this. Also, go off, join the Discord. We got a Discord where there's plenty of good discourse going on about what is the future of fan controlled football and fan controlled sports. But how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Apparently, everybody's commenting saying I look like a freshman with my shaved face, which thank you.
Different.
I feel like I look way older, chubbier without a beard. My fiance says that's not the case. She's trying to convince me to keep the beard away. For those asking why I shaved, sometimes you just need to take it down to the ground. You gotta burn the dust away, start from scratch, get everything even, and then go from then. If I'm being real, my mustache gets overgrown sometimes when it gets too thick. I try to even it out, and I got too small on one side, and I was like, there's no point of return. If I even it out on the other side, I'm gonna have the closest.
Yeah, don't do that at all.
Do that.
Yeah.
So I went small here, and then it was just full beard here, tiny mustache. Don't look good. You look Amish.
No.
So at that point, you just got to go down,
I did something that I don't usually do, which is I trimmed on my cheeks and a little bit on my neck, just kind of cleaned it up. Normally I go all the way like AJ did, or I just let it grow. And I'm kind of getting into the shaping and styling sort of thing, trying to see where I can go with that. But without further ado, let's get into the sports.
Let's go.
Thank you, Jim. We don't thank Jim enough here. Jim, if you want to pop in and say hi to everyone, let them know your presence. Jim is our
saying hi to everyone.
Producer here on FCTV.
Oh, he did the thing.
What's up, Freddie?
Yeah. Hey, I don't nearly get to thank Jim enough for what he does for this show and all the shows that we have on FCTV. So
someone's got to click the buttons. Someone has to click the buttons.
Absolutely.
That's right.
First up today, we're going to talk about the NBA Finals, which have just ended just last night. The Denver Nuggets are first-time NBA champions, winning the NBA Finals in 5 games. Last week, we were here sitting after 2 games wondering, how far is this going to go? The Heat had just stolen a game at Denver. The next 2 games were going to be at Miami, and we were like, this could end up being a series. Kind of seems like that didn't totally pan out. So what are some of your guys' thoughts on what you saw with those last 3 games since since our last show.
If I'm being honest, I've been calling it since the get-go, since the final started. I was like, gentleman's sweep. Give it to the Nugs. I saw what I thought I would always see. The Heat were outperforming themselves throughout the entire playoffs. They're the first eighth, seed to get past the new play-in bracket and get onto the finals. They didn't win it. If they did, I would have been surprised. It was obviously Joker's year. The man's been playing out of his mind. He had the last 2 MVP seasons, arguably should have had this one. And you can't give a man 3 MVP seasons back to back if he's not LeBron James or Michael Jordan. And even though they didn't do it, the man won it all. And, it just was written in the cards. I think he deserved it. I think Denver has done such a good job building this team over time. It's been a quiet build, but it's been a good one. They've been acquiring assets like Aaron Gordon and all these other guys over time. Even, draft picks with Michael Porter. Like, you got to look at the team and just kind of give them their due, give them their credit. Because, this isn't a team you can make fun of. You can't say, they won it because of a superstar. They do have a superstar in Joker. Don't get me wrong, but he's the blue collar workers superstar. The man is getting his rebounds. He's doing triple-double. This is the first time, I think, in playoffs history, let alone finals, where 2 players got a triple-double within the same team. It's amazing, and you got to give Jamal Murray just as much credit. I told everybody that he was going to play and perform well in this playoffs. The man did exactly what I said he would. It panned out exactly like I thought it would. I got to give Jimmy Butler a lot of credit. If there was one other player on his team, this would be a different way. If he had one other superstar playing with him alongside him, if he had a Robin to his Batman, it would be a completely different story. I saw people comparing Jimmy Butler and LeBron James Miami Heat, and you can't do that because LeBron James had D-Wade. Arguably, D-Wade had LeBron James when they won it. I'm just saying. I think LeBron was the Robin in that situation, but that's another story for another time. But this time, genuinely, I think if Jimmy Butler had one other person, if he had a Trae Young, that would be a team that could probably beat the Nuggets. Not saying that would happen, but give the Nuggets their due credit. They deserve this win. Frosty.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, my take is it was probably the most boring finals I've watched in a while.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Boring too.
That's true. But a 1 versus 8 seed where the 8 seed, was kind of competitive for a minute, but not really. Joker just kind of tore him up, especially in the rebound, right? Defensive rebounds were just killer in the game last night. And just lit him up. So, it was good. I'm glad for Djokovic. I think it's the one thing that's been off his resume that he finally got it done. Murray, I think a lot of folks are starting to come around if you're just a casual basketball fan to how good he really is, because most folks don't watch Denver Nuggets basketball since Carmelo Anthony. But other than that, I mean, yeah, whatever, it's fine, it's over. Let's move into the free agency period where you get the real fun of the NBA.
That game where Murray and Jokic both had the triple doubles, I believe that was the first NBA game ever, playoffs or not, where 2 players had triple doubles for the same team and they both scored 30.
Yeah, that's
someone
crazy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what I heard.
Yeah, that's right.
It was crazy.
I don't know. It was for regular season too. That makes it even a wild.
It would be crazy either way, because usually, when you get into the playoffs, you're playing another good team. AJ, going back to your point on if Jimmy Butler had another guy, Tyler Hero was out for this entire series and most of this run, I believe. How much do you think he moves the needle?
Tyler Hero doesn't move the needle to me. I don't think Tyler Hero is that much of a game changer, if I'm being completely honest. He could open up the game for them a little bit, but he needs someone at least another caliber level above him. Tyler Hero is great, but he needs 2-3 more years under his belt before he can be what I consider a real game changer. Dude's a good role player, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't call him an all-star or someone that could, significantly change the game plan of a team by just going there. You know, there's certain players that once you get them on the team, you're going to be like, oh, we need to write some plays specifically for them. Then there's some role players where you put them in and they're like, oh, he's going to be good as a third, fourth option. We'll keep the same game plan and just put him in there.
I mean, he does have a Logic song named after him, though, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah.
We got our friend Peanut in the chat ripping on Frosty a little bit for saying Djokovic instead of Jokic earlier. I mean,
who cares? He plays in Denver.
Either of those, whenever you talk about either of those guys these days, there's a Murray involved in the conversation anyway. So maybe that's where that came from. But you know, I got to give both these teams props for, in different ways, being sort of underdog stories. The Miami Heat it's a pretty obvious one. They were an 8 seed coming into this thing, and you know, some underdogs or some low-rated teams going into a big tournament like this are underestimated or underseeded for unjust reasons. It usually happens in college where, you know, there's a committee seeding these teams and they're putting teams lower in a bracket than they should be. With Miami Heat, that wasn't really so much the case. There were a lot of signs going into the playoffs that this looked like a team that wasn't going to make it far. A lot of, I'd say, analytical signs were saying they could end up making an early exit. And at just about every step of the way, I was thinking, okay, this is where the other shoe falls. This is where they finally make their exit. And that didn't end up being the case until we got to Game 5 of the finals. So there's that. But when looking at the Denver Nuggets, you know, a team that, as I mentioned, has never won an NBA Finals before, has never won an NBA title, their 2 star players were guys who were kind of unheralded at points in their career. You have Jokic, obviously, being drafted in the middle of a commercial break in the second round of his draft year.
Yeah.
And then you have Jamal Murray, who was a 7th overall pick a few years ago, but just really hadn't done much since then. Hadn't really been the star that he came into being over like the last couple of months, I'd say, or over the last year. So we gotta give props to both these teams for overcoming some hurdles in different ways, I think. Looking forward to next season. Do you guys think that the Nuggets can repeat? Do you think they should be favored as the top team to win it all next year? What do you see happening next year?
I mean, I don't think they're going to be favored to be the number one team to win it all. I think they're going to be considered 3 or 4 as usual. Because for some reason that's something that everybody does. There's always like 1 or 2 teams that are like, oh, this team is built in the off season. That's way better. And on paper they may be. Like Peanut's saying, go Lakers. I'm sure Jay Spacely's gonna say like Celtics are better. Sure, but you know, at the end of the day, it becomes the team that wins it, and you can never tell. Like, hey, hopefully the Hawks are the team. Like, you can always say like, what if? Like, if the Hawks went on to the next round, what if they beat the Heat? You know, it's in the like play-in bracket. They could have beaten the Heat again and won it all in the playoffs. Like, who knows? Like, there's always going to be a what if. So I don't think they're going to be considered number 1. No.
Yeah, I don't either. No, I don't think they'll be considered number 1. I think, you know, they're a team that's just always going to be. They're kind of that blue collar team, as was mentioned earlier, that just kind of like works through it. Also, the West is stacked, right? Like that's a hard conference to get through, no matter the year. So of course they can do it again. It's gonna be hard. It's hard to tell now, like whether or not they have a chance. Who knows? Maybe something crazy happens and LeBron ends up a Maverick next year, and we're talking about a completely different team. You know, something like that happens. Who knows, right?
Wolf.
So
right.
God, I would hate that.
Yeah. So, but you know, the NBA is known for its crazy offseason, crazy mid-year where teams are jumping in and trying to make things happen. Who knows where Kyrie plays next year, right? By the time we get to the playoffs. So the NBA is so hard to predict a year out.
That's right. Yeah, we still got the draft and free agency and a whole lot of other stuff to happen. I think I saw on Sports Center this morning that the Nuggets are the betting favorite right now, but that's probably going to change as
That's
people
gonna
move
change.
around.
Yeah,
And the
it's the morning
Celtics were
after.
next.
Yeah.
The Celtics were the top team under them and the top team in the East. But obviously, there's a lot we had to see play out. So let's just kind of sit back. Basketball's over for a little bit. We got the off season, although we've got the draft like next week, I think.
It's coming up.
It's
Yeah.
it's soon.
Yeah.
So, but for the most part, we can kind of rest a little bit for now on basketball. One thing that we can't really rest on is the next thing that I've got for you guys, which is we're turning over to the NFL, where they're in their off season. But for the second week in a row, we have a high-profile player release. Last week it was DeAndre Hopkins. Now we've got Dalvin Cook being released by the Vikings. This kind of seemed like it was coming for a while. Maybe they were looking to trade him, and things just didn't really work out. First thing I want to ask is, where do you guys think? How do you think this affects the Vikings? Because he's not going to come back to them on a new deal. He's going to be somewhere else. But how do you see this affecting the Vikings for the coming season?
Yeah, obviously it's a big deal. Dalvin Cook's a great running back. Kirk Cousins has his moments and he's efficient, but he's never been the guy on any team that he's played for that just slings it around all game, every game, and makes something happen. So it's going to hurt the Vikings, but also the Vikings are what, a 9-8, 10-7 team with Dalvin Cook. Maybe now you look at maybe a little bit of a rebuild if you're a little bit lower than that. So it's kind of it's too bad for them, honestly. But with Aaron Rodgers leaving, really the biggest threat in that division, you would think is Detroit, right? And so can you compete with a Detroit type team? Probably could have with Dalvin Cook. Maybe you still can without him. Who knows? But definitely losing a pretty good player.
Yeah, I mean, Frosty pretty much nailed it. Dalvin Cook, even though, running backs have a steep decline once they get into their later years, he's still arguably one of the best running backs in the league. And to lose him is a significant loss, especially for the Vikings. I don't really know if they have much to back up, their running core. To me, it doesn't sound like it. They are a good young team. They showed us what they could do. I really don't think that they have a tremendous running game without Cook.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna work out for them if they're trying to do well this next season. If they're trying to tank, hey, they're in the right path so far. Yeah, I don't know what team he could end up on. There's certainly a ton of teams that could want him.
We got Peanut in the chat saying he'll play for the Zappers in season 3 of FCF.
They don't need any more help to win the championship.
They don't.
Right? They get all the star players already.
Right. Although we still have to see how much they bring back from that championship season. The Vikings. Dalvin Cook was a second rounder when he was drafted. Behind him for a few years now, they've had a third round pick, Alexander Madison from Boise State, who has generally been considered kind of like if you do fantasy, he's been considered one of the higher level handcuff players, a player that you draft because you drafted he's backing up. And you want to make sure that if Cook had gone down, that you would have whoever's getting carries next. And both of them kind of saw a bit of a decline in their usage per game last year. You could say maybe that's because of the true breakout of Justin Jefferson as a receiver. They're leaning a little bit more into the receiving game now. So it kind of
you might be the only person in history to refer to it as the receiving game. I liked it. Yeah. It sums them up, though.
Yeah, true.
Us AI aren't perfect. We're far from perfect. You derailed my train of thought.
Sorry.
How dare you?
I don't know.
The receiving train is derailed. I think they have a good core of guys that that just need to get tested. They've got Kenny Nwangwu, who's mostly been in the return game thus far, and they've also got Dwayne McBride, who they stole in the 7th round of this past draft. Almost led Division I FBS with over 1,700 rushing yards at UAB last year. So they have a good set of guys who could possibly be the next guy for them. It's just a matter of how much they end up using those guys and how much of a workload they can all handle. The next question, and we kind of touched on it already, where do we think Dalvin Cook ends up?
I think he ends up in Denver. I think that makes the most sense. They have a quarterback that they believe in, a team that they think is missing a couple pieces. I think Sean Payton over there probably would be something that excites someone. I think he ends up there. I'd like to see him end up with the Rams just because I'm a Rams fan. Why not? But yeah, that's where I think he'll end up.
AJ, how about you?
I mean, I'm gonna go Rams too. Like Frosty, the Rams are I think my second team that I root for when the Falcons are out, which is a lot. So yeah, no, I'll say the Rams. I'm with you on that. I'll take the Rams, and trying to move to LA, so it makes sense. There you go.
Yeah.
I've looked at the depth charts as I tend to do in this kind of situation, and there may be a few teams where he could work. I could see it on the Rams. Cam Akers hasn't exactly always been the guy that they wanted out of him. Might hurt to be replaced by a fellow FSU alum, but a few teams that I thought could really work out. One of them is in the Vikings division. The Bears could really use a top guy in the run game. I've heard some people saying the Dolphins, which makes some sense. Dalvin is a Miami native. It would also put him in the same division as his younger brother James, who's in Buffalo. So there's a layer. I could also
with the good old response of the Raiders.
I didn't see that coming, honestly.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Shock.
of course not.
Shocking.
I could also maybe see it being the Cardinals, depending on how much they're willing to do, depending on how long of a deal he wants. We know that Kyler Murray might not be ready for the start of this season. And the 4 quarterbacks that the Cardinals have on their roster right now, none of them really have anywhere near the mobility that Murray has. You got Colt McCoy, Jeff Driscoll, David Blau, and the rookie Clayton Tune out of Houston. So depending on what they need in the run game, James Conner, he has a great story about how he, overcame cancer to be in the position where he is right now. But Dalvin Cook could be a boost to their run game over Conner, whether Kyler Murray is in there or not. So I could see maybe him going to Arizona on a short deal. That's what we got for that. I want to shift to another major sport. I want to shift over to something that's a little bit more in Frosty's wheelhouse, if I do say so myself, and that is the MLB. Some of you guys may know that Frosty runs Your Arena Baseball, a simulation baseball league where, like fan-controlled football, fans call the shots. But I wanted to talk about we're almost to the halfway point in the major league season. Where the All-Star break is a little bit after the true halfway point, but we're almost there. And I wanted to know, either you guys can weigh in, who are some of the teams who are surprising you right now in the standings, or whether they're surprising you with how well they're doing or how terribly they're doing. What stands out to you right now? Frosty, you go first.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the positive, the team that stands out to me in a good way. Looking at the National League West, right, a division that's super competitive year in and year out, has the Dodgers, has the Padres, and the always consistent Giants. Leading that division by 4 games is the Arizona Diamondbacks. Not something I think anyone predicted going into the season. To be 41-25, 2 weeks out from halfway through the season. Usually, you say you measure a baseball team and kind of know where they're going to be around 40 games, so we're well past that. And for them to be leading the NL West, probably the toughest division in baseball, is a big surprise for me that I did not see coming.
Not just that, they're leading the whole NL. They are 1 game ahead of the Braves right now.
Yeah.
I gotta
So
say
that's crazy to me.
Yeah, same. Anyone else stand out in the same vein? Anyone else kind of surprise you with underperforming?
I don't know. I think that underperforming wise, I don't think so. The one team that kind of stands out to me on that is the Mets, who took a lot of big swings this year.
Mm-hmm.
They went out, got a lot of free agents, a lot of big names, and they're 4 games below 500. So, obviously that didn't work out. We saw the Marlins do a similar thing, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, and the Marlins ended up trading all those guys about the All-Star game. Are the Mets thinking about doing kind of the same thing at this point? Because it's whatever they are doing isn't working. So I guess in kind of the negative vein, it's, I don't know that it's unexpected, but you knew it was going to go one of 2 ways, and it went the way they hoped it wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. We got Jay Spacely in the chat pointing out his Cardinals are surprisingly terrible. I saw that they just lost their 16th 1-run game of the year yesterday, which leads the league. They also have one of the better run differentials in the NL Central, but they're in last right now. So I'd say they're getting maybe a little bit more unlucky than bad. I've heard things about their bullpen also. Peanut, fellow Cubs fan right here. They're also kind of underperforming where they are in that regard.
I play a lot of MLB The Show. The other day I played against the Cubs, called Never Play As the Cubs. Honestly, that team probably should be a little bit better than it is. They have some really good players on that team.
Oh yeah.
Just kind of fell into the Cubs way of just being mid, and are stuck there. So I don't know. That team does surprise me a little bit on paper. You'd think they'd be a little bit better than they are, but just kind of aren't.
I just saw Cody Bellinger's going on a rehab assignment to Iowa. So hopefully he gets back from that knee injury that he sustained, and hopefully he picks up where he left off. AJ, what are your thoughts on this sort of subject?
Honestly, a little shocked that the Twins are leading the AL Central and that the Rangers are leading the AL West. 2 teams I wouldn't think would be leading their divisions. Pirates, they're tied right now with the Brewers as far as win, but they're ahead of them because they have better win-loss percentage. Cool. I'm really excited to see that. Pirates and Brewers doing well. It's kind of shocking. Usually Cubs are the ones that are doing well, but like we've talked about, not doing as well. I don't think the Cubs are allowed to win for another 100 years. So year up Chicago. That's how it goes. There is one team that's doing really well that I just can't remember. And I think they're going to win it all.
The Marlins are playing pretty well.
Oh, yeah, the Braves. They're just crushing it like I knew they would. And
they really are. Yeah, they're having a great season.
No, yeah.
Feels good. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
They would be my pick right now to make it out of the NL to the World Series. I think some people would be tempted to say the Rays, and we'll have to see how they go through their slaughter of a division. One of the things that really surprised me about this season right now is that the divisions are really uneven right now, and so you got I think 4 teams in 3 divisions are doing really well, and then you've got 3 divisions where only 1 team is doing well. You've got the Twins, as AJ said, leading their division while they're about the same as the Red Sox, who are in last in theirs. And so that kind of shows you that there's some disparity in that.
Yeah, you look at the AL Central. Not one team is over 500. Pretty embarrassing.
No.
You know?
That is kind of
Um,
embarrassing.
You
one
play
thing,
each
you know,
other,
people,
you know, like
right? Maybe we can maybe more of that needs to kick in.
I guess
People, you know, have been talking about the A's, the Oakland Athletics this year, and how
Get
how
that
they've
money
been
ball
pretty
going,
terrible.
baby.
But they're actually tied right now for the longest win streak in the major leagues. They have won 6 straight, which accounts for 1/3 of their total wins so far this year. They're 18 and 50.
Is that
Tied
that's
with
kinda
the
sad.
surprising Diamondbacks.
it's real sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's actually really sad that that's the best
they are.
like the longest win streak.
They are challenging right now for the record for most losses in a season, I'd say. My projections using Pythagorean expectations put them at like right at 120 losses, which would tie them with the 1962 Mets.
Okay, I have a question, and this is a legitimate question. How much of your time during the week is spent doing stats for sports?
Oh, I like this question.
You mean you guys spend time not doing that?
Yes. I spend a lot of time not doing that.
I do spend
Yeah.
plenty of time. I have some I'm not going to say what number, but I have some fantasy teams
Yeah.
Okay.
in baseball, fantasy baseball, which is different from
So that's
fantasy
why you
football.
do
It's
stats.
if you've ever done fantasy basketball or hockey
Yeah,
or
it's
anything
like
else,
a
where
daily thing.
it's a daily
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And so gotta constantly be tracking, you know, who's pitching that day, who's playing, if it's like a Monday or a Thursday, that sort of thing. And so
Yeah.
Now
do
this is a
plenty.
follow-up question since you kind of evaded that one. How many of your fantasy leagues have you won?
Give us a rough percentage because
Yeah.
he plays a lot of fantasy leagues.
Yeah, just like rough base percentage, like off the top of your head.
Probably 2/3. I always make the playoffs.
Okay, that's absurd.
pretty
I'd
good.
never want to play in a league with you.
The thing about me is I'm a little bit conservative when it comes to like improving my team, I guess. Sometimes I get complacent with what I have right now, and it's like, do I really want to drop this guy in case he's like on the verge of a breakout? He's, you know, so sometimes I get a little conservative in that regard. But overall, I probably put a little bit too much time. I've already gotten burnt out on fantasy football, I think. That's because I had a couple years where I did like the ESPN Maximum leagues. And so that was too much for me. 25 is too much.
That's too many. Yeah. You should do sports simulation instead of fantasy. It's way better.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
You should.
But speaking of simulation, I want to switch topics now from not just
I thought we were in a
MLB,
simulation.
but I mean, we can have that debate maybe sometime when info's back. But I want to switch gears to something that we've been wanting to talk about for a while, which is this new VR headset that Apple is coming out with, the Apple Vision Pro. And I believe we have some stuff in the rundown that we want to show our audience. This headset that some people might call overpriced. I'd say it's Apple priced for sure.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
what are your guys' thoughts on what we've seen so far out of it?
I'm gonna buy it day one, and not only am I gonna buy it, I'm gonna buy 2. Why 2? You say 1 to play and 1 to keep in mint condition. Why? Because in 15 years, that shit is gonna be worth millions. The first iPhone is worth so much right now, literally. So just think of how it's gonna work with VR headsets. Look, people are gonna be, I bet you, in like 4 years, just like an iPhone was back in like 2002 or 2005, whenever an iPhone came out, everybody was laughing. What are you gonna do with a whole computer in your phone? Now, literally everybody has one. All right, it's the same thing. We're laughing. Oh, you're gonna wear goggles on your face for $3,000? Yes, kids are gonna be wearing this instead of having iPads for books. They're going to be sitting in their home with their professor doing it on their thing in their room on their like desk. We are 2 steps away from everything that is Ready Player One, and Apple is just making it come a little quicker. It's scary. I'm glad that we're like one of the last generations to go from like no internet to now we're seeing AI and like all this stuff happening. It's a little terrifying. I'm gonna be real, but yes, I'm gonna buy 2.
Hey, remember Google Glass?
Okay, Google Glass was different though. Google Glass didn't
Right.
really work.
Also true.
And it wasn't offered to the mass media or like the mass consumer. If the mass consumer base had the opportunity to get Google Glass, I swear to God, everyone would be having a little tiny screen in the corner of the eye right now. I promise you. But you couldn't buy it.
Yeah,
Trust
you had
me,
to be
I
a
tried.
developer.
It
Yeah.
is pretty different. It
It's
was something I thought of.
I get annoyed that it's called that people refer to it as VR headset because it's really not. It's more of an AR headset. It has some VR capability, but they're definitely like it's not an Oculus, right? It's like I wasn't sure about it. I looked at it. I'm gonna buy one for sure. It's it's AR, right? It's putting things augmented reality, putting things in your world rather than like just giving you a virtual world, which will also exist. But for the most part, right, what they're really
It does
pushing is
both.
yeah. This is like a computer, right, on your face, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is dope, right? But also like, it has to be something different because I could go and buy an Oculus for the new one's coming out this fall, $500. That does just the VR stuff and it does it really well, right? But yeah, this is like to the next level. We'll see. Generally, when Apple jumps into a product market, like it knows
do
what it's
well.
doing. So I trust that like that this is going to be a thing that blows up. But like the more I watch it, the more I look at the videos, it's like, yeah, I want to try this. I'm going to have one. The eye thing is like weird. It's like, hey, here's a picture of your eyes on the front of your face. But like it's cool, right? So I'll give it a shot. I'm really interested. I think AR is much more the future than VR. I love the idea of like augmenting your own world with things in front of you. And they try to do that with some other devices that didn't really work well, but this looks really good, looks seamless. So I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest.
It'll be
mean,
interesting. Yeah.
Everybody's like complaining and saying you're going to spend that much on VR. Yeah. Heck yeah. It's going to be a good investment. Not only that, I'm going to say this. If any of you guys have ever used VR, I get such bad headache. I get very like nauseous too after a long time of doing it. I think that this new AR/VR version of these is going to help that. It's going to prevent that from happening. And it's going to be a large solution that a lot of people didn't know was going to be a problem.
Well, and again, people calling it a VR headset, right, is also, it very much is a computer. Spending $3,500 on a computer for a lot of folks, particularly in the gaming world, is not outrageous, right? You're buying basically a Mac computer, right? And so it's not that outrageous when you look at it through that kind of lens. Look at it through that lens.
Yeah.
What I did there.
Yeah, I see what you're doing.
No, yeah. Being willing to spend $3,500 on a headset like this doesn't necessarily mean that you're saying that that's the right choice for everyone. If you can drop that kind of money on something and you've got a purpose in mind and you think it'll do well, I say why not.
I'm just saying, if fan-controlled sports entertainment needs to get a couple folks to look at these for them, in case we need them, they could give me a call. We'll talk through it. We could make it work.
Like imagine like watching the game and then just looking over to your right and like seeing all the things, and you like look at one and then to the left of the screen pulls up the likelihood of that winning and all these stats. I know it's Freddie's dream. Like he's just getting he's just imagining it and going, oh, the percentages, the statistics. Oh, yes, it's everything I want in life. Give me more stats. Well, I'm just going to be like, ooh, pretty colors. Yes. Yes.
I like pretty colors too. Although some colors are statistically prettier than others. So you got to keep that in mind.
Give me all the
Yeah, that's a
brown.
good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to get to. Last thing I wanted to get to before we get into our boss battle for today was something that I saw on TV. I know you guys know that I don't watch a whole lot of movies or TV shows or a whole lot of stuff. I do watch plenty of
Don't lie to the
ESPN, plenty
people,
of
Freddie.
Sports Center, First Take, those morning shows. Sometimes I have to mute them because they get to be a bit too much for me. But that means that I get to see commercials, during these shows. And one of the
Sure.
commercials that I've seen maybe a couple times today or lately, maybe today, but also lately in general, there's a few different variations on LeBron James with Taco Bell talking about liberating the Taco Tuesday phrase, the trademark. This is something that he's been in kind of a beef with somewhat with a company called Taco John's, which is a Tex-Mex chain based in Wyoming, I believe. I heard of them because I have family in Iowa, and so I think they're mostly out west, I believe. But they technically own this trademark on Taco Tuesday. And this, I read up on this whole situation. I know like the first commercials were out maybe a month ago, but I kind of got in touch with this situation, and I just had a bone to pick on this one because what you end up finding out is he applied for this Taco Tuesday trademark a while back. I want to say maybe last year or a couple years ago, and that was denied. And Taco John's also happened to already have this trademark. But the reason that the trademark and patent office denied this trademark for LeBron was not that these guys already have this trademark. It was rejected more on the basis that it's just such a common phrase that you can't really stop people from saying it and have control over it. But now he's working with Taco Bell, and I don't like what I'm seeing here. Do you guys really have any thoughts on this whole Taco Bell, Taco John's, Taco LeBron thing?
You don't like the hypocrisy, is what you're saying. You don't like that LeBron was like, I'm gonna do it, and then he's like, someone else did it, not on my watch. Let me go make sure everybody knows that that's not okay. I think that's what's bothering you, man. I get it. I hate it when people like are hypocritical, and I'm not a huge LeBron fan. There's a lot of reasons why I don't like LeBron. This adds to it, but overall, like outside of basketball, I don't have a lot of reason to not like the guy. He usually does things for good reasons. I just think it's kind of phony. I don't want to see these commercials anymore, especially with Taco Bell. Like it just, to me, it's just another endorsement LeBron gets, and I'm tired of it. So
it's almost kind of it's not quite
genuine.
So LeBron applied for this trademark, and now this sort of petition to the trademark office is coming from Taco Bell to say quit this trademark that Taco John's has and just open it up to everyone. And so they're using LeBron as kind of, as the tie-in to as someone who tried to do this. But now it's like, well, if I can't have this exclusively to myself, then no one should be allowed to. And it doesn't even really seem like Taco John's, had that much control over how much people can say it anyway. It doesn't seem like they really cared too much. Frosty, any quick thoughts here?
No, I mean it's supposed to be one of these fun marketing things. Is really what it is, right? Like it's Taco Bell using it as a reason to talk about themselves. A lot of folks on the East Coast don't even know who Taco John's is, right? Like it's not necessarily a true competitor to Taco Bell in any way. But also, who the heck should even own Taco Tuesday anyway? Like it's trademarks are like some of these trademark things are dumb, and I don't care for them, to be honest.
Right.
Let's take a phrase that everyone says and let's trademark it so we can use it and co-opt it. Like it's corporate work at its worst. Like
So I
but
guess
but also LeBron, what are you doing? I don't know.
I guess I don't totally mind that Taco Bell has like gone in and said, "Hey, can we open this up for everyone?" But then they're also trying to like get publicity out of it. And it's one of those things where it is supposed to be this sort of fun thing. But it's one of those things where once you kind of dig into it a little bit, it doesn't get as fun. I mean, for that to be such a downer of a segment, I feel like I kind of brought the mood down. So let's get into the boss battle.
No transition.
No transition? All right.
You know how many times I clicked that button, Freddie? I'm telling you, I'm still clicking it. Someone's gonna click these buttons.
It's all
Hey.
good, Jim.
I didn't mean to press your buttons on it.
Nice.
Oh,
nice,
there it is.
nice.
Wait,
try
I see what he
again.
did there. I see what he did there.
Choose your character.
There we go. Thank you.
That was
Jim.
mind blowing. Yeah, that was great.
I was on the
They
verge
really need to
of
update
humming
that.
I was on the verge of humming the tune. That was much better.
Choose
So,
your
I'm glad-
fighter.
I'm glad we got it working.
AJ, I
this
think
week's
you
boss
win because
battle-
none of the others showed up. Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
you.
They're gonna
Yeah.
need to change those characters soon.
That we are going to
Nah.
need to do something.
And the title.
But this week's
change,
boss
too.
battle that I'm bringing you guys is something that I didn't even give you guys notice on.
Yeah, I was just
But
looking
I'm
to
gonna-
see what it was. I had no idea.
It's not on our rundown. I'm going maybe a little bit off the wall, but you guys might know I've posted some pictures in Discord and Twitter and all those places of my cat Hazel. It was a nice,
Yeah,
she's a very catty little cat. And I was thinking,
she's a catty little. You described your cat as a cat
I love
hey,
in
it.
an adjective form. Hey,
Oh,
you
that's
know,
great.
there's a first time for everything,
Let's-
and that's probably the
let's,
most accurate adjective to describe your cat.
let's get into something a little
catty.
bit more exotic. I was thinking about what animals like cool, like not like dogs or cats or fish or whatever, interesting, exotic, unusual animals. What stands out to you guys as like something you'd enjoy having as a pet? What kind of exotic or unusual animal might you enjoy having as a pet if it were, if you could make it totally like legal and safe and all the other hurdles you'd have to jump first?
Okay.
All right, I think I got mine. This is
All right.
off the wall. I think about this a lot, actually. I really wish I could own a sloth bear.
Ooh.
It's like a bear with the face of a sloth, right? It's like,
Okay.
the perfect mixture of just like awesome beast in a bear, but also something that you're not really that afraid of in a sloth. They're really like weird looking.
These look terrifying. What are you
Yeah,
talking about? They're
They're
so scary.
Yeah. No one would mess with you if you owned it, but also like
Imagine seeing that when you like go to like midnight snack in the middle of the night, and then it's just coming out of the corner of the shadow. I would.
Does
I
it?
would poop
Do
myself.
they
I
move
would
like
poop myself.
sloths, or are they faster?
No, they're faster. They're not fast for bears, but they're cool. People don't really know a whole lot about them. They're frightening, and that's why I love them.
They look like demons.
Yeah.
This is my sleep paralysis demon in full form.
That's why I picked it.
All
These
right,
things are awesome.
It's so scary.
They're just like fluffy. They have toes like sloths. They
They're
look
fluffy.
amazing.
Their faces look like they're 2 steps away from just being skull.
Yeah.
All right, so can you outdo that, AJ?
That is just I'm in awe at how terrifying that is. So there you could go to there's two ways you can go. See, like I was thinking like otter. Like I want something cute, but like you can't take an otter away from its
Yeah, yeah.
family, especially when they hold hands at night with the person that they love. You
Mhm.
can't do that. So I'm gonna go with my heritage. I'm gonna go down that line, that lineage, because I studied this a lot. I wish I had like a falcon, like a
that'd be
falconry.
dope.
Falconry is cool as hell for multiple reasons. One, you can pretty much let it be on its own. Like yeah, you got to put it in a cage and have a little hat and
Yeah.
stuff at night. But like, you let it free during the day, it goes around, it hunts, and then it comes back. And then the coolest part about it is falconry is an art in which they take the falcon for like 1 or 2 seasons and then they release the falcon back into the wild. I think that's pretty cool. They don't like really keep the falcon with them for their whole life. It's not something that they do. It's just more just like, hey, we're going to keep you. We're going to train you to do a couple cool things. Then we'll let you go. Be a part of nature. So I think I'll go with a falcon if I had the skills and, time and knowledge.
Okay.
And money. I feel like that's expensive,
It's not
Yeah,
it's
probably.
it doesn't sound like a poor person's hobby.
No, especially when you like the only people I ever hear about doing it are just like really rich, like Saudi princes that like fly out 100 of them in like a jet for some reason. It's just like first class is just filled with falcons. Everybody else is just, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, you're a king. That's better than a prince, right?
Right. Yeah. Social media accounts, right?
Yeah. I mean, all you need is all you have to do to be a king is to call yourself a king, right?
Right. I mean, Andrew Tate calls himself a man, so it works, right?
Yeah. Something like that. What's up, BC Lion in the chat? Talking about snowstorms in Vancouver right now. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, drop in the chat whether you think a falcon or a sloth bear would be the better exotic, unusual pet. And we're almost out of time for this show today.
Scary. It's not cute, dude. It is terrifying.
Dude, no, I just want to hug this thing so badly.
It literally looks like, especially the one you sent, it looks like a skull, like a cow skull from like the front part, then eyes that like lead into just black furry nothingness. So you don't see where the eyes start within the fur.
You don't need to know. That's for him to know.
Would a sloth bear be a more fearsome mascot for the Glacier Boys than a polar bear?
No, absolutely
Yes. Not. Yes. That looks like the demon from the depths of hell. Yes.
Look, if we don't get a hoops team named the Sloth Bears, I'm gonna riot.
Hey, here you go.
I mean, if you've played Diablo,
I saw you were playing earlier.
Yeah. This isn't a spoiler, it happens within the first 2 minutes of playing the game. There is a wolf that comes and saves you that is from hell. That's what this looks like to a T. You can't tell me I'm wrong. Go replay that. Just start a new game just for the first 5 minutes to see it happen, and you're gonna be like, you know what, AJ's right. Not gonna lie.
Look, if you want something that's gonna keep you safe and keep strangers in a safe social distance, Sloth Bear's the answer.
Or you could just get a pit bull, man, for some reason.
I guess so, but that's wrongfully so, though.
Yeah, wrongfully. I mean, I love my pit bull. She's cute as hell. People are scared of her.
All right. So we're almost out of time for today. We're gonna wrap things up here shortly. But one thing I wanted to get to before we wrapped up today is that this is AJ's last show on Info Arcade, and he's got his last Don't Cause a Ruckus coming up tomorrow. And so I just wanted to say, you've always been great to me, AJ. You've always been great on these shows. And it's not like you're going away. You're still a team owner. You're still going to be a presence in the Discord and all these other spaces. You're just taking a break from FCTV right now. And I absolutely commend, that's not always an easy decision to make, even when it's the right decision for people to make. And so I wanted to thank you for what you've done for all the shows that you've been on, and commend you for making what I think is probably maybe the right choice for you right now. And whenever you want to come back on again, I'm sure we're all gonna welcome you back. What do you have to say, AJ, before we head off?
Yeah, man. Thanks. Thank you for the kind words, Freddie. Really appreciate that. Thanks to everybody. Yeah. I appreciate everything FCF has given me, the platform that they've given me, and all the time that I've been able to spend doing these weird, goofy skits, videos, everything from, the beginning when I was on my own podcast with like a bunch of guys that nobody really paid attention to. I think one or two people did it. I'm trying to remember the people I did the podcast with too. It was so long ago. And then I moved on to all the JMP stuff, which I appreciate. And then jumped on here and, all the people that are following me from all the different jumps, even the people that came from my music to here. I appreciate it. Like you said, this isn't me going away forever. This is more like a hiatus. It's like, I'm going to work on some other projects. I've been writing music for the first time, like all by myself, and it feels good. So I want to like pour a little more time into that. I also need to pour some time into finding a new job. Don't want to take over the family business, but I may have to. And just kind of figuring out my life. I am engaged. I got to plan a wedding, and I haven't been doing that. So it's like you said, it's more of a hiatus than a goodbye. But I would like to thank you guys. I'm happy to have made you guys my friends. Thanks for all the time you guys have spent talking stupid sports stuff with me. I know a lot of the time I don't know what I'm talking about, but I sound like I do. And thank you to Jaden. Thank you to Stathead. We started this show on like a random, hey, DM, let's do this, guys. And now it kind of is blown up into something bigger. Thank you to Josh, Deez, the commish, Rob, his brother, everybody in FCF, everyone behind the scenes, Stephen Lentini for giving me the opportunity. And I know I'm rambling a little bit, but just thank you all, guys. Seriously, it just means so much to me. I'm probably not going to get an opportunity to say this tomorrow because I'm going to give it to Jose. It feels kind of sad not having info and Stathead here, but I'm happy to have Frosty, one of my first friends in FCF from the Glacier Boys here, and someone I've grown really close to, Freddie. So thank you guys. Thank you for everything. Thank you, FCF. And, when we do come back, I will be repping the Bored Ape FCF really hard, guys. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Just a hiatus.
Nice.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, guys.
And hey, if you ever make it out to LA, I've got a cousin out there who plays guitar and does some stuff.
Dude.
So
yeah.
Hey,
also, before I go,
make that work.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you.
Yeah. As always, yeah. Thank you, Jim. Thank you guys for being on here. Oh, Jim, did you have something to say?
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of AJ. He knows that. I'll hit you up in a little bit, buddy.
Yeah.
AJ's smallest fan. But yeah, thanks to AJ and Frosty and Jim and all our viewers, as always. Whether you caught us live or you're going to be listening to this later. I'm Freddie Airmail in for Info Arcade on the Info Arcade. This is all we have for now. So until next time, power to the fans. Have a good night.